So unless you've been living under a rock, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard about the college admission scandal that broke about 2 years ago. It included dozens of parents, affluent, wealthy parents, committing fraud to get their kids into college. It included actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin. And this past week, Lori Loughlin's daughter, Olivia Jade, she decided to make an appearance on the Red Table Talk. And when news of that broke, like most people weren't here for it. They weren't having that. And rightfully so. Like when I heard it, I immediately thought to myself, why are they having her on here? A lot of people made the intentional decision not to watch, which I totally get and I agree with and support. I know for me though, my curiosity got the best of me, and I wanted to see if she had anything of value to say to explain her situation. And to make a long story short, she didn't. She didn't have anything of value. But I'm gonna get to that later. I think my first thing, when the episode opened up, before Jade even came on, the discussion was amongst Jada, Willow, and Jada's mother, Adrienne, and they were discussing whether or not Olivia should even be on the show. And I found that discussion of more, I was more interested in that discussion than anything that Olivia Jade had to say for herself, to be brutally honest. I held a very similar opinion to that of Gammy. This white girl didn't need to be here. She really didn't. To me, the way I see it, and Gammy articulated this perfectly in the episode, she's here because she needs the optics of three black women kind of, telling her, oh, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. Because we know white people love to turn to black people and exploit us for whatever reason, whether it be using our culture or using us, our emotional labor to get something. So that in and of itself is nothing new, but it just epitomizes white privilege. And I agree with Grammy. They shouldn't have let her ass on that show. If Gammy had her way, that girl would have been on somebody, Ellen or some shit, The View, one of them shows. But she did not need to be there, and that's how I feel. But I watched it with the open mind, hoping, that she would say something substantive. She didn't. Basically, she said things like, "Oh, I'm aware of my privilege now. I wasn't aware of, what we were doing. I didn't realize it was bad. I thought it was normal." And just listening to all that, it just really showed how different the world is for the rich, the wealthy, for white people. They really do operate in two different worlds. They operate by a different set of rules. Because her, the situation, the story of Olivia, her parents, it's been happening for a long ass time. And so my thing is, if they didn't get caught, just think about that. If they didn't get caught, would she be aware of her privilege? My guess, probably not. So just knowing that pisses me off and annoys me. I think another thing that was annoying for me, watching her, Olivia sounded really rehearsed. I can tell, her PR team and whatnot, it was a very intentional, strategic move, which leads me to think that Olivia Jade needs to nip this situation in the bud, because she's trying to rebrand herself. So she's doing this apology tour now. So in 2021, she can, move on to bigger and better things. It wouldn't surprise me if in 6 months, she's trying to launch a product or something. So I wish one of the ladies on the table would have asked her, why are you here? I wish they would have pushed that question more. I know I would have, because it's a question worth asking, and it's a question that needs an answer. I think another thing, as a college student myself, I think another thing that really just irked me was hearing how lax and nonchalant she approached college. I know for a lot of people, college is basically your ticket to bettering yourself, to attaining a type of life that you've always wanted. People go to college to become doctors, lawyers, businessmen, businesswomen. So for her to just admit she went to college for the experience, the party experience, and she basically treated classes as an afterthought, I was just wow, that all that privilege must be nice, because I don't have that type of shit. So that in and of itself, and it hearing her story really reminded me of my own journey with college, because I remember when I was applying, I'll never forget when decisions were coming back. So it's January, January, February is typically when you hear. And I got my decision back from the school that I currently attend. And I found out I got accepted, and one of my white classmates, they said it as a joke, but I could tell they meant that shit. They say, oh, you must have been an affirmative action decision. And I just remember thinking to myself, nigga, fuck you. First of all, that motherfucker didn't get in. Let's start there. Secondly, at the time, I had a 5.0 GPA. So, bitch, I could have gotten to pretty much any school I wanted to. Let's start there. But just to know she took the spot of a more deserving student, a student who's probably at their second or third choice, drowned in tens and thousands of dollars of debt, and she literally just waltzed in there like it was nothing. Like, that, for me, that just irks me to my core. Like, she literally, like, and, you know, Gammy said this on the table talk, but she is literally the poster child for white privilege. And, like, you can swap her out for pretty much any affluent white celebrity. So, like, her situation is universal. There's probably millions more people who've done it or are currently doing this. So I just, hearing her say things like, you know, oh, I'm aware of my privilege now. I'm just like, what the fuck were you doing before? That's what I want to know. I'm just like, that, because she talked about being in a bubble. I'm just like, that must have been one suffocating ass bubble, girl, because damn, you didn't know that paying your way into college for a spot is illegal. That's fraud. You didn't know that was wrong, girl. I find that hard to believe. All in all, I'm left unimpressed. Everything she said, like, it's stuff that you're supposed to say, it's stuff that sounds good, you know, but only time will tell if she really meant that shit. If I had to say one good thing that came out of that entire interaction, I think it would be this. There was a point in the discussion where Jada's mom asked her, like, do you understand why some people just don't want to hear what you have to say, or why they're not interested? And she, like, explained it and broke it down to her. And that entire exchange, I was like, okay, that was worth it. That was worth watching, because I can tell from the look on the girl's face, no one had ever talked to her like that. No one had ever told her about herself to her face. And for me, that was the highlight of her entire conversation. Like, she was basically read to filth by Jada's mother. And she was like, I don't have the energy to care that you lost your endorsements. I just don't. And I'm like, that girl needed to be told that to her face. So if nothing else good came out of that, she was told to her face why, one, she doesn't deserve pity, and two, why most people don't care. And I'm like, she needed to hear that. So for me, that was probably the only good thing that came out of that. Like I said, I really wish they didn't have her on there, because she would have been okay either way. That's the thing. Like, even me talking about this now, she's going to be okay. Like, that girl, you know, this is eventually going to, you know, be swept under the rug. Her mother and her father are going to return from prison. You know, I wouldn't even be surprised if this turns into a Lifetime movie. So, like I said, it's just so much privilege. Time will tell whether or not she really meant it, whether she was genuine or not. But I'm willing to bet some money that it's just a facade. She's using this to prop herself up, you know, for another dealing, for another business venture in the future. So, predictable, disappointing, but not surprising. But yeah, I'm curious to see how y'all feel about the situation. Let me know what you think about this entire situation in the comments down below. Be sure to like, give it a thumbs up, and I will see y'all later.